Thank you. Good evening to you. Coming up on the programme. Remember the fire that forced Heathrow to shut down in March? An investigation finds it was caused by a preventable fault at the electricity substation owned by National Grid, which was first discovered 7 years ago.
I am just absolutely amazed that such a critical and actually quite a large part of our critical national infrastructure in the National Grid was not properly maintained for 7 years.
Heathrow is now considering legal action against National Grid. Also tonight. How much of the £39 billion earmarked by the government for social and affordable housing is coming to London? Plus,
bars and pubs across the capital stand ready for the big kick-off. Euro 2025 is underway. Can the Lionesses defend their title?
When did you sort of realise that, the sound was beginning to sort of gel and that, you had something?
After about a year and a half.
Their first TV interview back in the 90s, ahead of Oasis playing at Wembley this month. BBC Radio London's Gary Crowley reflects on meeting the Gallaghers.
I could lie and say when I watched that video that I foresaw, Noel and Liam and Oasis were going to become one of the biggest bands in the world, but I didn't.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the programme. First tonight, remember the fire that forced Heathrow to shut down in March? Well, today, an official report pulls no punches in its assessment of what caused it, saying there was a catastrophic failure of equipment caused by a lack of maintenance and that National Grid, which owns the substation, had been aware of the fault since 2018 and that numerous opportunities to fix issues were repeatedly deferred. Heathrow is now considering legal action. And the energy watchdog Ofgem says it will investigate. Here's our transport correspondent, Tom Edwards.
This fire at North Hyde electricity substation crippled Heathrow, and today a damning report blamed a catastrophic failure of equipment. And it highlighted multiple errors by the substation operator, National Grid. Crucially, a problem with moisture raised 7 years earlier was not acted on.
I think the story of the report really is about a series of missed opportunities, a series of missed opportunities to find, fix and repair the fault on the transformer that ultimately went on fire.
Basic maintenance at the site in 2022 was also deferred by National Grid. Also in that year, the fire suppression system was deemed inoperable.
Our members who work in the networks tell us that the focus is on new connections rather than maintenance because that's more profitable for the companies. But it comes at a cost, as the report today has shown.
No electricity meant Heathrow had to shut down for safety reasons. Thousands of passengers were left stranded, and thousands of homes were also left without power locally.
I think this is a point where the board have got to pause and think quite carefully. There are real concerns now in the business community around the basic governance of the organisation. At the moment, they're expecting to get their new chief executive in place in November of this year. We're wondering whether they need to be brought on board a lot faster.
The report also said that Heathrow Airport relied too heavily on one power outlet, and this was the response in Parliament.
I am just absolutely amazed that such a critical and actually quite a large part of our critical national infrastructure in the National Grid was not properly maintained for 7 years, and that Heathrow, the busiest airport in the world, had a single point of failure.
The resilience of our electricity system is incredibly robust. We need to do everything we possibly can to make it even more robust, and particularly for incidents like this to not have quite such a significant impact as they did on the 20th of March.
Today the airport said the report showed the substation operator had failed. It is now considering legal action. National Grid said it had inspection and maintenance programmes in place and that it had taken further action since the fire. But there are still big questions over how maintenance failures were allowed to happen and close key national infrastructure. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Good to have you with us this Wednesday. Plenty more ahead, including the relationship between graffiti and the capital. We hear from a London artist who's also spent time with Banksy.